There's a reason you're seeing this now, not earlier, not later, but now, because timing isn't random. It's not just some algorithm showing you another video. It's not chance. It's not coincidence. It's alignment. Carl Jung didn't believe in randomness. He believed in synchronicity, meaningful patterns behind seemingly meaningless events, a divine clock ticking beneath what looks like chaos. And if this message found you, there's a reason. Because sometimes truth doesn't arrive when you're ready. It arrives when your soul is tired of being lied to. See, most people think awakening happens in a moment of joy, that it's light pouring into the room, peace wrapping you like a warm blanket, finally getting it. But that's not how it happens. Awakening is not light, not at first. It's the collapse, the ego death, the unbearable grief, the terrifying clarity that everything you thought was real wasn't. And the only reason you're still listening is because you've started to see through it too. You've started to sense that what you were chasing wasn't made for you, that what you were taught to want was designed to keep you asleep, that love, success, happiness, all of it were templates, not truth. You don't need more motivation. You need more honesty, more silence, more remembering. And this is how it starts. Something whispers. The world looks a little different. You begin to pull away from noise, not out of fear, but fatigue. Because at some point, your soul gets tired of playing a role. That's what Jung meant when he said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. But if you're still here, you're not avoiding anymore. You're returning. And that means you're ready for the next layer. If this is already resonating with you, click the subscribe button and follow Unshadowed. We go deeper. We don't skip steps. We speak from the soul. And if this message found you now, it's because your timing is perfect. Carl Jung didn't talk about awakening like it was a weekend retreat. He spoke of it like it was a descent, a necessary confrontation, a battle between the self you built and the soul you buried. And if you're here, you already feel that pull. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unknow what you've started to sense. You've outgrown the mask, but haven't yet become the face beneath it. That space in between, it's sacred, but it's also terrifying. Because here's what most people won't tell you. Spiritual awakening doesn't give you clarity, not right away. It gives you confusion. It gives you loss. It strips you bare until there's nothing left but the question, who am I without all this? Without the achievements, without the validation, without the stories I told myself just to survive. And Jung's work was a direct invitation into that unknown. He called it individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, not who the world taught you to be. But becoming yourself means destroying the false you. And that hurts. That's why most people stop here. That's why they go back to sleep. Because numbness is easier than truth. Comfort is safer than transformation. Performance is more rewarded than presence. But if you've come this far, your soul is asking for more. And here's the twist. That grief you feel, that emptiness, it's not a problem. It's a doorway. You're not broken. You're being stripped clean. Not to be punished, but to be made real. You were never meant to carry a perfect image. You were meant to remember yourself. And sometimes, that remembering feels like ruin. But as Jung said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. So, if it hurts, good. You're on the right path. You were conditioned to chase success, chase love, chase meaning. But what if the point of awakening isn't to chase, but to stop running? What if your emptiness isn't something to fix, but something to feel? Carl Jung believed that the parts of ourselves we avoid the most, our sadness, our anger, our confusion, are actually keys, not barriers, not baggage, but buried wisdom. Your pain isn't random. It's a signal. It's the soul's way of getting your attention. That moment when nothing outside satisfies you, when no achievement feels like enough, that's not failure. That's God's whisper, come home. But coming home to yourself isn't a glamorous process. It's not about rituals or retreats or reading more books. It's about silence, stillness, sitting in the uncomfortable truth that you don't know who you are anymore. And that's okay, because the ego hates not knowing. But the soul finally breathes. So many people look for signs, but here's the paradox. The sign is the silence. The sign is the void. The sign is that hollow ache that refuses to be filled. Not because you're broken, but because the version of you that could be satisfied by surface things is dying, and that death is divine. As Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. That unconscious part of you, the one that's been running your show, is now rising, not to destroy you, but to free you. And freedom doesn't always feel like bliss. At first it feels like being lost, like being emptied, like being forgotten. But it's only in the forgetting that you remember what was real all along. So, if you're here, if you've reached that point where your life no longer makes sense, but you're still breathing, still listening, still searching, that's not weakness, that's awakening. And you're exactly where you're meant to be. Most people never arrive here. They stay stuck in performance, trapped in cycles, numbing with noise, because silence terrifies them. Why? Because silence doesn't lie to you. It doesn't flatter you. It reflects you. Carl Jung knew this. He said that the journey of individuation, becoming your true self, requires a descent, not into darkness for the sake of pain, but into the shadow, the parts of yourself you've rejected, denied, buried. You weren't taught to love those parts. You were taught to hide them, told to be strong, be good, be happy, but never be whole. And so when the awakening begins, when the soul starts remembering what the mind has forgotten, it doesn't feel like light. It feels like death. The death of illusions, the death of false identities, the death of who you thought you had to be. You lose friends. You lose dreams. You lose the version of you that could survive in a shallow world. And in the stillness that follows, you wait. For what? Not for a new identity to perform, not for the next dopamine hit, but for something real, for something true. This is the sacred pause, where the world calls it depression. Jung might have called it the soul's rebellion. You are no longer willing to lie to yourself, and that refusal, that sacred resistance, is proof you're awakening. But you don't need to rush this process. You don't need to fix it. You only need to be with it, because the real sign isn't in what happens to you. It's in how you show up within it. How you sit in discomfort without abandoning yourself, how you let go without giving up, how you stay soft without becoming small. This is what God was waiting for. Not your success, not your perfection, but your surrender. Because only when you stop pretending can you start remembering. And that's the moment when the universe speaks back. And maybe now you're finally ready to hear it. Not the noise of the world, not another motivational reel, not another promise that if you hustle hard enough, you'll be worthy, but the deeper whisper, the one that doesn't need to yell, because it's always been there, waiting beneath the surface of your ambition, humming under the ache of your loneliness, living inside the silence you used to avoid. That voice doesn't want you to rise just to perform again. It wants you to return to your breath, to your body, to the truth you buried when the world told you it was too soft, too much, too real. Carl Jung believed the unconscious would keep calling you through dreams, synchronicities, and even suffering, not to punish you, but to bring you home, because you didn't come here just to build a life. You came here to become. to remember what you are beneath every mask, to walk the sacred path not of more, but of meaning. And the truth is, if you've made it this far in the video, you're not just scrolling anymore. You're searching, yearning, ready to reclaim what you gave up just to survive. So here's the invitation. Stop trying to go back to who you were. That version was a cocoon. You are the becoming. The pause you're in is not failure. It's not brokenness. It's the gateway. And the fear you feel, that's not weakness. It's the tremble of your old self being released, the gasp of your soul stretching its wings. You don't need to know the whole path. You just need to say yes to this moment, to this whisper, to this remembering. Because the truth is, you didn't find this video. This video found you. And maybe, just maybe, that's not a coincidence. That's a confirmation. If something in you softened, stilled, or stirred while watching this, honor it. This wasn't just content. It was a mirror. And if it reflected something real, don't rush to the next distraction. Pause. Breathe. Let it land. Drop a comment below, not for the algorithm, but to mark this moment in your journey. A simple "I'm ready" or "I remember" is enough. And if your soul wants more spaces like this, subscribe, not for entertainment, but for alignment. Because this channel isn't about trends, it's about truth. And truth doesn't scream, it whispers, only when you're ready to hear it. Welcome to Unshadowed. We'll see you in the next transmission.